Hey everybody, it's Mark Vogt with VOGTLAND OUTDOORS. I got a very brief lesson today. It's about string walking, and I call it the 2 secret numbers of string walking. The 2 secret numbers of string walking. If we go over what string walking is, it's actually adjusting the elevation of the arrow, not by changing where you knock the arrow on the string. It's always in the same place, but by where you pull. So that for short distances, you're actually holding the string way down here that lifts the rear of the arrow up, that puts the front of the arrow down, that gives you shorter distances. And when you walk up the string, you're really effectively pulling the back of the arrow down, changing the elevation so it goes steeper and steeper and steeper, so that it goes farther and farther and farther. The question is, do you really want to actually memorize a whole bunch of numbers, like how many wraps for 20 meters, how many more wraps for 10 meters, how many wraps for 5 meters, how many wraps for 30, how many wraps for 40, for 50, for 60, for 70, for 80, for 100, for 120. Do you want to memorize all those itty bitty little numbers and try to keep them all in your head? And then what do you do if you want to shoot in between? Are you going to try to go in between all those different, memorize those numbers and hope that you get the number right? Gosh, that's a lot of work. What if I were to tell you you only have to memorize 2 numbers, and then it doesn't matter which bow you pick up, if it's the same draw weight as the one that you use at home, then you get to use those exact same 2 numbers. That's what today's lesson is all about. The 2 secret numbers to VOGTLAND string walking are, first, your 20 meter gap in finger widths. What is the gap that you need to actually get to 20 meters? For me, that's 3 fingers exactly. That's all that I have to remember, 3 fingers. The second magic number is, what change in fingers, what's your 10 meter interval gap? Now, what do I mean by that? It means, what's the change in finger widths from 20 that you need to go to change the range by 10 meters? And for me, that's actually 1/2 finger. My 10 meter interval gap is 1/2 finger when I'm shooting this 57 to 60 pound bow. So 2 numbers, what's your 20 meter gap? And you use that always as your starting place. And what's your 10 meter interval gap? So that if I need to shoot, say 10 meters, then I go down 1/2 a finger. If I'm at 20 and I need to actually shoot 30, I go up 1/2 finger, and now I have a gap for 30 meters. If I start at 20 and I need to shoot 40, I have to go up an entire finger width. There's my full finger width, there's 40. 1/2 a finger up, and now I'm at 50. 1/2 a finger up, and now I'm at 60. 1/2 a finger up, now I'm at 70. Let's see that from the back of the camera. You're going to be surprised how easy this method is, guys. So let's say that I was actually going to shoot at 10 meters. Then my 10 meters, gosh, there's a lot of glare here today. It's really hard to see. I start with my first magic number. I start with the 20 meter gap. I go down there. Then I ask myself, I need to go to 10. That means I need to actually increase my gap by 1/2 a finger. How do I do that? I literally just slide down 1/2 a finger from there. And there's my 10 meter gap. How easy is that? If I started at 20, let's say I wanted to shoot at that 30 meter target. I start at the 20 and I ask myself, which way do I have to go? I have to make my gap smaller, so I pull the back of the arrow up. I got to go 10 meters shorter. That's going to be sliding up 1/2 of an inch. See how my thumbnail is now in the middle of my finger? Now I just have to go right there, and I just have to shift my finger up that 1/2 finger width, and now I'm at a 30 meter gap. Let's see how this actually works in practice. There's 10 meters. So what I'm going to do is measure 20. I'm shooting like I'm ready for 20, but I need to increase the gap by 1/2 a finger. So I slide my thumbnail down until I'm halfway through my finger, and then I slide my finger down. Now I'm at 3.5 fingers and I'm set up for a 10-meter shot. Let's see. Remember the VOGTLAND shooting method. It's 5 steps. Step 1, choose your gap. There's my 20 plus a half to give 10. Step 2, draw back onto your chin. Step 3, look down the left side of the string. Step 4, put the tip of the arrow right on the target. Step 5, small motion release. Perfect bullseye. I got a 30-meter target over there. I'm shooting on the diagonal, so it's going to shoot like about 35. Let's figure that one out. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with 20 and ask myself, I got to go up a half a finger to get to 30. So I'm going to slide up a half a finger, and then I got to slide up a quarter finger to get 5 meters. So there's a half of a finger, and then I go slide down a little, there's a quarter finger. So there's my gap for 35 meters. Let's go see how well that works. Step 1 of the VOGTLAND shooting method, choose your gap. Start with 20, move up a half a finger for 30, move up a quarter finger for 35. Step 1, choose your gap. Step 2, draw back under your chin. Step 3, look down the left side of the string. Step 4, put the tip of the arrow right on that X. Step 5, small motion release. Ha! This whole method is simple. 2 numbers is all that you have to remember for your bow. What's your 20-meter gap and what's your 10-meter interval gap. And from there, when you need to get to something less than 10 meters, you simply cut your finger in half for 5, cut your finger in half again for 2.5 meters, cut your finger in half again, and you're down to within 1 meter. You're shooting 1 meter distances, and that's as good as it gets, guys. That's as accurate as you need. This video was for Emmanuel out in Poland, who's been super interested in learning string walking. Emmanuel, I hope that you found this video interesting as well. This is Mark Vogt with VOGTLAND Outdoors. I really enjoy all the people that are starting to subscribe from around the world, from Indonesia, from India, from Iran and Iraq, from Turkey. I just found out last night, Austria now, Poland as well. I'm super psyched by all of that. I'm thrilled. I hope you guys continue to subscribe and share this channel with all of your friends. We'll see you out there. Bye. Here's a fun little outtake. I got a couple arrows left and I don't want to leave the course just yet. You saw me do the string walking and the 2 secret numbers of string walking and use it successfully on 10 meters and on 30, about 35 meters. But since nobody's out here, there's a smiley face out there at 70 meters. Shooting at an angle, it's going to be about 75 meters. And that one way out there is a 90 meter, 100-yard target. Let's use this string walking technique and see how well that works for this. For these kinds of ranges. Here's what's going to happen. I'll calculate with you what 70 looks like. 70 means you start with 20 and then you have to go up 20. That gives me 20, 30, 40 meters. We have to go up another 20, a full finger. That's 60, and then go up a half a finger. Go up a quarter of go up a half a finger. That's another 10 yards. So there's my 70-yard gap, and that's what my shooting picture is going to look like. Okay, so let's try this. Step 1, choose your gap. Step 2, draw back onto your chin. Step 3, look down the left side of the string. Step 4, put the tip of the arrow on the target. Step 5, small motion release. Whoo-hoo, right in the smiley face. What a great method. Let's go pull a couple arrows and shoot at 100. All right, we're shooting at 100 yards again because I actually was shooting, I had the camera set up over there about 25 meters away off to the side, and that means I'm shooting along a diagonal that's much longer, significantly longer than 100 yards. And I wanted to show you that the string walking method was accurate out to 100 yards. So this time I'm shooting dead on. That circular target way out at the base of the hill is 100 yards, 90 meters. And we're going to use the exact same gap. one finger over the arrow this time. So here goes. Listen for the thunk. Okay, so let's try this. Step one, choose your gap. For 90 meters, that's one finger over the arrow. I'm going to be really quiet now. We're going to go through the motions. Step two, draw back under your chin. Step three, look down the left side of the string with your eye. Step four, put the tip of the arrow right smack on the target. Not above it, not below it, not to the left, not to the right, right on it. Step five, small motion release. Small, like you're that little mechanical release on a compound bow. That's what's required. That's a tiny target out there. Even if I get the distance perfect, if my release is bad, it's going to float just a little bit. I'll slip to the left, I'll slip to the right. It won't matter. It's got to be a tiny release. So you're not influencing the path of the string. You're not pushing it left, you're not pushing it right. All right, let's try this. Step one, choose your gap. That's one finger over the arrow for 90 meters. Step two, draw back onto your chin. Step three, look down the left side of the string. Step four, tip of the arrow on the target. Step five, small motion release. Got it. I landed outside the white circle at about 7 o'clock, about this far from dead center. Ha! The method works. 2 secret numbers to string walking, all the way from 5 meters to 90 meters. First secret string walking number, your 20-meter gap. Second secret string walking number, your 10-meter interval gap. Between the two of those, for any distance, you slide down and start at your 20, and then you work up or you work down in 10-meter increments in fractions of your finger until you get to the distance that you want to shoot at. Hope you enjoyed this little outtake. We'll see you out there. Bye. Cut. Let's just keep shooting a couple more. I like hearing that thunk at 90 meters. Got it again. Got it again. That was 2 inches above dead center and 7 inches to the left of dead center. So it's about 10 o'clock and 12 inches out. Come in. Just slip by on the right hand side.